This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, hello. Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are able to hear me and see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. Right. So, in our last session, right, we discussed about the DevOps and the roles, the tools, and right, so the automations of the continuous integration and the continuous deployment using various tool stack for the monolithic application and microservices application. Right. So that part we covered. So today, right, we'll try to discuss about the other part, nothing but infrastructure management. Right? So one area is for CI and the CD setup, and the other area is for us infra management. Right. So when comes to this infra management, right? So usually, what kind of infrastructure we are going to manage? Right. So right, so we are going to set up or we are going to create the infra which are required to run the application, right? So whatever the application we are going to deploy on the servers to run the application with high availability, scalability, security, right, with all the features. So for that, whatever the services, nothing but the infrastructure is required, we are going to write a spin up them by using the automations. So as an example, right, so when I want to run my application, so what I need here. So basically, right, the first thing will be the servers. So servers are without the servers, right, we cannot deploy the application. And right, so then we will work with load balancers. So that right, when the traffic, right, when the traffic is hitting the applications, then how effectively we are going to manage the load. So then we are going to set up scaling. It's nothing but again, right. So when more people are right trying to hit the application, is the servers are good enough to handle the load or not? If they are not good enough to handle the load, right, so then you have to add more servers so that they can handle the load. Otherwise, right, so the request will go in the queue, then the customer, right, may not be waited for their turn. Simply they will leave and they will go for some other alternative, right? So as a simple example to understand this scalability, right, how effectively we can set up, right? So when we don't have, right, the cloud, uh, previously, right, when we don't have the cloud, so by that time what we are supposed to do, right, so we are going to have the servers. Like here I'm going to keep two servers, three servers in the backend, and continuously, right, we are going to monitor the load on the servers by using our shell scripts, right? Shell scripts are nothing but, right, they will check continuously every 5 minutes or something like that. They will check the load of the servers, and that will inform to us, like, so this is the load right now, like that. So now when something, right, when the load is hitting more, then, right, we are going to add more servers like this, right? So now if I take some the example of like our Flipkart or Amazon, right, the big billion day offers or something, right? So by that time, right, so the servers are required with high configuration so that they can respond the request fastly, right? So like right now, right, i10 i11 is the processor. If I'm going to take the i7 or i5, something like that, I can see some latencies, right? So now here they need with good configuration. And right, so now here, so before the offer, so only these two servers are enough before the offer, right? So when the offer is not going to launch, by that time, right, these two servers are capable to handle the regular load. Assume as an example. So now after the offer got introduced, right, so like 1 week or 10 days is offer, right? So then during that time, those two servers are not enough to handle the load because more requests are going to hit the application. So then what we'll write upfront, right? Will based on the previous experience, means previous year experience. Like, so when the offer launched on the 2021, how much load came on the servers. So based on that, right, history. So what we will do during that period, we are going to add more servers so that we are, right, the customers are not going to face any kind of latencies, right? Assume, right. So previous year, so we required, apart from the regular two servers, we need five more servers like this, five more servers. So then what we did, right, when the offer is going to launch, right, so then we added five more servers.
Shankar.
Now, yeah, yeah, hello,
So a quick question here.
yeah,
So this is dependent on the previous experience
yeah,
about the
history,
scale, right? Let's
yes,
say if
yes.
it's a new project and we are newly doing it,
Hmm.
entirely new.
Hmm.
So how do we scale the?
That's all right. So the I will come to that point actually, right? So let's try to understand this scenario, right, so that you will get the answer also for your query.
Okay.
Okay,
So we are just
let me
trying,
fit.
just
Yeah.
continuing, just to get a clarification. I missed the first 5 minutes, so just to get a
Oh,
clarification.
okay. Oh, cool,
So
cool. No, no
you are
problem.
continuing yesterday's demo itself, right? We're not yet into the complete syllabus, if I may, right? You're
So
just trying to
yesterday,
tell us what do you cover in the entire course?
entire course, yeah. So means which one you are looking, Amit? Actually, I did not get you.
No, no. See, yesterday I was there for the demo of, I mean, not yesterday,
The
whenever
la-
you took the,
the
right,
last session, correct? Yes,
right,
yes.
right. For more
Yeah.
than like 2 hours,
Mm,
I
mm,
was there.
mm,
So
mm,
I know that what you have covered, in fact. So now you said
mm.
that we are actually looking at the infra, what we are going to cover. So you're
Yes,
not
yes.
directly into the syllabus now yet. You're just trying to
Yes,
give
yes.
us what do you
Yes,
cover,
exactly. Exactly,
right?
correct. True.
Got
Yeah,
it,
right.
got it.
So
Please
because,
continue,
right,
please.
we should have some understanding, right? Otherwise, what you are doing, right, straightforward, I'm jumping, I'm trying to cover the tool, right? Maybe you, right, you will think that why this tool is required, what the purpose, right? So that
It's okay.
we are trying,
Got
yeah, we are trying to understand what are the tools, which area they are going to use, so that, right, when we go to the actual course, then we'll come to know. Yeah, correct, Amit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So now with the previous experience, right? So now these five servers are added right now. Then we are ready with the launch, nothing but the offer. So now what happened, right? Due to the corona situation, now previously suppose in a day 10,000 requests are coming. So now due to the corona situation, people are not buying a lot of products. So now we are getting only 5,000 requests per day. Right. So now here My prediction went wrong here, right? So because of these current situation, right? Because of the different factors. So now what is going to happen, right? So here maybe these five servers are right. You are used during the offer period. These two are ideal because there is no load this time, right? So now this something like this is going to happen, or sometimes, right? Hit 10,000 become 20,000. Now those servers are not enough to handle 20,000. Right? This is something like up and downs are going to happen. Right? That is one thing. And the second thing, right? So this year, right, I have taken like high configure i10 processor, like something like that. The next year, right, it will be i11. I need always the high performance server so that right my customer should not be face any kind of issues. So next year again I need to upgrade my servers. So let's see spending of amount here on the servers on the infrastructure. So when you want something like this, right? So right, so now cloud came into the picture. So once the cloud came into the picture, now right you don't require to predict something, right? Like go to the history and check how the setup was, right? How much load, right? Then try to configure something like this. So now what we can do, right? So simply you can consume the cloud services. So like I will start with one server or two servers for high availability. I will take two servers to run the application. So now I will inform, right? I will inform in the sense, right? We are going to set up something like this. So here minimum, right? I will start with two servers. Then I can go for scaling up 10 servers. So on what base you are going to scale, right? If the load is greater than 70% on the servers, right? I want to scale. If right the load is less than 30%, right, then scale in. Likewise, right, we are going to set up. So it means we are going to set up this thing on the cloud. Right. So now which server you want, right? Right now, the current year, whatever is the latest, I will take that one. Then I'm going to configure this thing. Then leave it. So that right. So now, so today only 2,000 requests. Suppose assume each server can handle 1K, 1,000 requests. So today 2,000 requests are coming, right? So then these two are enough. Then tomorrow, right? So tomorrow requests are right hitting more, like 3K requests are hitting. Then your your condition in the back end, whatever you configured, based on the right, one more server is going to add it automatically. So now these three servers are going to handle 3,000 requests. So likewise, right, when the load is hitting, right, so based on the load on the servers, the scaling is going to happen after the offer period, right? So now the load is going to going down, right? It will become normal, means 2K requests per day. So then whatever the new servers are created, those will be get terminated, right? So previously, when there was no cloud, right, you have to maintain those servers after the offer period, right? Whatever the new servers you have you have placed, those servers are not, even though you are not going to use it, but you have to maintain it because in the next time, in the next year, you might be going to use the same servers, right? A good temperature, a person, a admin is required, right? The servers, even though you are not using, they are idle, you have to maintain them. So now nothing is required. Just right consume the services from the cloud. Then whatever you consume, like per day, like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, pay the rent, pay as you go. Now, right? So Amit, right? So now here, so even though it is a new application or old, whatever it is, so just simply I'm going to set up this thing and I'm going to leave it, right? So that the backend will take care, right? So likewise, right? So now here, when it comes to the infrastructure side, in the past, setup was very difficult. Whatever you want to do it right, we have to do it properly. If something messed up, it is going to mess up everything. That's why, right? So the admins are going to play right very important role in the past. Actually, they are the seniors, right? Usually, they are the key there actually. So now it's become very simple. Even I don't require any like huge experience on the servers and all the setup, because right, you don't need to do anything from your end. So simply take the service, understand the service, and utilize the service, right? So now when it comes to this infrastructure side, right, so now the cloud, once the cloud came into the picture, the cloud can be any cloud here, your Amazon, Azure, Google, IBM, right, what Oracle, whatever it is, all will be the same. Like they are all going to offer the same services with different, right, different features or different wizards like that, but in the back end the architecture remains the same for the service, right? So now what the services we are going to use here, right, like servers, load balancers, right, scale in, scale outs, like scaling, then security part, right? So now here you are going to run your production applications. So those should be very secure, right? So that hackers, right, are there always to hit your servers, steal the data. So you should be, right, secure your infra, that security part. Then, right, access management. So here, so the team is going to work on the application, right? So now they required few services access. So now, right, you should not provide complete admin access to everyone. We have to manage them, right? Based, suppose developers require some access, then what you will do, you are going to provide the read access. They don't require the modifications like admin kind of access. So like whatever the person, like the role of the person, then based on that role or designation, right, we have to provide the required access on the services. Otherwise, right, things can be messed up, right? So likewise databases, right? So now here, when you are going to work with the application, we are going to work with the servers like web servers, application servers, database servers, right? So now, right, so web servers, app servers, and then DB. Right? For the DB again, you don't require to set up your own things. So right, we have the database services are available. Take them and use them, right? So likewise, monitoring is one of the important area for us. So whatever the services, right, you are going to work, it can be load balancer, it can be your VPCs, it can be your servers, right? Whatever it is, we have to monitor them regularly, right? So that if anything went wrong or something happened, right, so then immediately we have to get the alerts. So right, so no manual monitoring here. It should be like a kind of automation thing. So they're right, the cloud offering the monitoring services also. So what is our job? Configure properly. So then the rest of the things it will take care, right? So like DNS configurations, right? So DNS are nothing but, right. So once your application is ready, you are going to launch into the world. So now your application need a domain names, right? Like flipkart.com, paytm.com, like that. Now, right. So now how we are going to configure the DNSs to your servers, so that, right, people are not going to hit the IPs. Simply they are going to hit the domain names like paytm.com, ICICI.com, like that. Right. So now how we are going to configure them? Like that's what the DNS configurations. Right. So likewise, right. So here logs management. So now your application, right, is going to generate a lot of logs, like your, because right now, right, the services are called as a microservices, right? Nothing but the application right now is currently using the microservices architecture. So microservices are nothing but, right, your services are going to run individual servers, nothing but containers, right? So what is the service here, right? If I'm going to take our application, right, suppose paytm.com, right? So now if I go to paytm.com site, so here you can see recharge, rent, electricity bill, these are all the services. So suppose if I want to go for the rent, now you can observe here, after the website name, you can see the service name, rent payment, right? So now it's a microservice. In the back end, it is running as a microservice. So likewise, if I go back and if I hit, right, DTH recharge, then you can see after the website, you can see the service name, DTH recharge. So right, so what is the advantage of the microservice, right? So in the back end, they are going to run on individual servers, nothing but the containers. So if one of the service is gone, like suppose DTS recharge is not working, so your application is not going to go down. Only the DTH, like whatever the service is having the issue, that is not available until the issue got fixed. So during that time, right, you can work with other services, right? And also, right, when I want to use, suppose, right, this rent payment. So now I don't require to go to the home page of Paytm, then right, then go to the rent payment or whatever service. Simply what you can do, right? So you can hit the website straightforward like this. Website's name, then followed by the service. So that straightforward it will be routed to the that particular service. We don't require to go to the home page, from the home page navigate to the services. Right? Because they are running as a microservice in the back end. Right. So now obviously, right, these services are going to generate a lot of logs. Right. So now the service has some issue. Now we need to know what is the issue. Right. So then you have to troubleshoot it. Then go for the resolution. Right. To troubleshoot, you need the logs, the data, right? The service logs. So that then only you can troubleshoot it. Right. If you can manage the logs properly, right? A lot of services. So right. So the proper log management is required. Then only, right, we can easily go and verify them. Right. So that is one of the area for us, like proper log management of the applications or the servers, both. Right. So likewise, right, so now we are going to write from the infrastructure side, apart from your CI/CD, from the infra point of view, right? So we are going to deal with these kind of services, right? So now, right, so now here you can observe here. So from the cloud side, right, see here, these are the services we are going to work with them. Like in our class, right, we are going to work with these services from the infra point of view using the cloud, right? So servers, load balancers, scalings, CloudWatch, like I mentioned, right? Monitoring, logs, then access management, databases. Again, this is also data management, right? Database is something else and data management is something else. Like here, so if you guys observe here, this app has a different images. Like if I go and see Flipkart, let's see here, lot of images. Now you don't need to manage this image on the database. Otherwise, database means how much storage you are using. For that storage, you have to pay the rent. So for the images, right, I don't need to go for, right, the database kind of thing. So for that, right, we can go for the cheaper storage management. So for that, the cloud side offering different kinds of storage places. They're like one of the services S3. Anyway, we'll discuss about it. Like Lambda, Route 53, EFS, other services. Anyway, we'll see one by one once we go to the cloud side, right? So now it is right, fine. So these services are required to manage the infrastructure, that is fine. So how we are going to work with them? Suppose I want to launch a server now for my dev environment. I want to launch a server. So now what I will write? So cloud offers again two ways. One is the GUI and the second one is automations, right? So GUI, it is user friendly. Anyone can work with that, right? Because you will see the GUI and you can see the options, so that, right, you can go and click on or you can choose whatever you want, right? So now the infra can be managed with the GUI or with the automations, right? So now whatever the way you are going to use, that is fine. But the only the thing, it is a CI/CD setup, or it can be, it is an automation, or it is your infra, whatever it is. The only the area we need to focus is when comes to the management, how effectively, how easily we can manage them, means we can maintain them, right? So creating a solution or creating the infra, right, can be done in number of ways. But later on, if something I need to add or something I need to update, how quickly, how easily I can do that. That's what the maintenance, right? If I'm going to set up in a complex way, so then maintenance will become very complex, because you have to understand how it was done, Then only can you add or update whatever the requirement, right? You can do that, right? So then the second point, right? So if I'm going to deal with a limited thing like one server setup, two server setup, right? Deploying on one server, two server, it is easy, right? We can easily manage. But in the real world, right, we are going to work with a number of servers, like tens of servers, hundreds of servers, like that. Now, maintaining those hundreds, tens, then that is a complex area for us. If I go and do it GUI way, manually, right, it will kill a lot of time. Suppose, right, I have 50 servers, 50 web servers are there. I want to set up something. I want to change something, right? I will go to the GUI, like take the server one and do it like that. Then, so each server update or whatever it is taking 5 minutes. Now 15 to 5, right? So you are killing a lot of time. And also, right, there is no guarantee that, right, you are going to set up everything proper for 50 servers. Sometimes you might forget, or sometimes you might, right, mess up one server or two servers, like that. As a humans, quite common for us, right? So that's where, right, the GUI is not acceptable in our real world. If it is like simple infra, simple thing, that is fine, you can easily manage. But when it comes to lot, right, huge, then it is a complex thing with the management of the GUI side. That's why, right, in the real world, you are not going to manage anything with the GUI, everything with the automation, right? So that's why, right, so we'll go and use the automation to work with these services. It can be RDS, it can be scaling, it can be your servers, whatever it is, everything should be done with the code side automation. So, right, so for that, right, so for that, here they are offering a service called cloud formations from the AWS side, right? So we are going to write the code. With the help of the code, we are going to manage the services. So now it can be, right, one service or 10 services. With the code, you are going to manage. If something I need to update, simply I'm going to update my code, that's it. It is going to apply for all the services. We don't require to go and do it manually, right? That's what the beauty of the code, managing with the code side. So now anyone can work with that, because, right, cloud formation is one, it is following the same structure. So now if a Shankar came into the right project, now if you know the cloud formation, you can manage anything, right? So then later Amit joined, you know the cloud formation, he can manage it, because, right, it follows some structure. So now any kind of automation, that same structure has to be followed. If you know the structure, then anyone can work with that, right? So that's why that easy management, easy maintenance, right? So now what happened, right? So when right, so when the customers are start using the cloud, now some of the, right, if you are seeing that Azure is offering more features with lesser price, someone is saying like Google is offering, right, lesser price than other than the AWS or Azure, like that. So now what they are doing here, right, so few services they want to utilize from the cloud of AWS, and few services they want to utilize from the Azure, and few services they want to utilize from the Google, like that. They want to take hybrid thing here. They don't want to go with the single cloud, because, right, with the features, with the price, right, they are getting, like, suppose servers, AWS is offering the cheaper, as an example, load balancers, Google is offering cheaper, right? Then I will take the servers from the AWS and load balancer from the Google, right? So now that's where now the problem, again, the challenges came into the picture. With single cloud, right, suppose if I'm going to work with the AWS, all the services of AWS, so then I can use the service called cloud formation to automate the infrastructure. Suppose I'm going to work with the Azure. So in the Azure, right, here the cloud formation, there Azure templates, same thing, right? Here cloud formations, their templates. So, right, so there we are going to work with the Azure template. So now we are going to manage the Azure services. That is fine. But when it comes to the hybrid, right, multi-cloud, now can I use the Azure templates in my AWS? No, it won't support. Can I use AWS cloud formation in Azure? No, it won't support. Now that's where the challenge, right? So now when you are working with the Azure, you have to know the Azure templates. When you are working with the AWS cloud, you have to know the cloud formations. When you are working with the Google, then Google side services. Likewise, every cloud, somewhere, right, somewhere in the sense, one of the service they are going to provide for the automations, like the cloud formations or Azure templates, like that. Now we have to learn them, and then we have to adapt them, and we have to apply them, right? So now it is becoming a challenge for us, like learning all the services from the different clouds. So that's where, right, Terraform came into the picture, right? So this guy is came into the picture. Now what this Terraform will do, right? So it is going to provide standard structure to every cloud, right? It means it supports every cloud. Now what you can write, you can write a code in the Terraform and you can manage any cloud because it supports all the cloud. Now here, right, so I want to work with the AWS, then what I will do, to the Terraform I will inform that I want to write, I want to work with the AWS. Then the Terraform, right, connect with the AWS, and whatever the code you write, you are passing to the Terraform, it will go and take it and it will deploy on the AWS. Now when I want to work with the Azure, then I'm going to inform the Terraform that I want to work with the Azure, then provide the code. That's it, it will take care. Standard structure to any cloud. So that's why, right, Terraform is one of the hottest tool in the market right now, right? Because right, so everyone moving to the cloud. So right, every project, right, you will see with the cloud. Now to work with the cloud, right, so now the Terraform is one of the best tool right now at this situation, current situation, right? So like you right now here, right, so in our DevOps, right, so now from tomorrow, right, we are going to start working with the DevOps, right? So now, right, we'll work with the, right, the CI/CD tools, then we are going to work with the infrastructure management services, right? So now, right, so now these are the tools just for the, right, refreshment here. So the last class, right, we discussed about the CI/CD for the mono and microservices. Now to set up the mono and microservices CI/CD setup, now these are the tools we are going to use, right? So now to manage the infrastructure, right, so now we are going to use the cloud. From the cloud side, right, so these are the services we are going to use, right? So now this is our complete course content, the tools what we are going to cover during our DevOps course, right? So now, right, so when you are working with these tools, right, like we discussed, right, we are going to work with the three projects. So one is for the monolithic application setup, and the second one is the microservice setup, then the third one, right, infrastructure setup, right? Because, right, it is not like server creation. When I talk about the infra, means your application setup, your application required VPCs, the security, high availability load balancers, the scalable, right, auto scalings or auto scalings, like these are all required. So now how we are going to create all these services with your automations, that's what our third project, and then deploying the application, right? So this is our course content, right? So then uh, when comes to, right, so I think already we discussed about the market, right, of the DevOps, right, and right, the course content, and right, so then the material, right? So here, so I'm going to, right, provide the material of every tool. Where is that, my DevOps material? Yeah, right, so like this, right? So this is as an example of Jenkins, right? So we'll get a PowerPoint document with the slide, with the screenshots and the, right, the commands, everything, whatever we are going to, right, work on. So we'll get the material for every tool like this, right? So during our course, right, we are going to discuss about the interview questions, the interview areas, like where the questions, that in which area the interviewers are going to focus. So those will be covered, right, along with the course for every tool. And right, so resume preparation and everything, right, at the end we are going to take care of it, right? So that is not a big deal for us. So setup, right, whatever the setup we require to practice, so that is also I'm going to cover. So just from your side, one laptop or desktop and the internet is required, right? So the configuration, right, you can take any configuration of your desktop or laptop, but on one machine with the internet. So then, right, the servers and everything, right, so I will take care, right, how to work with them. From tomorrow onwards we are going to see it, right? So yeah, this is about, right, so the course and everything, the content and everything from the demo side. If you guys are having any questions, right, so you can ask me, so that, right, I'm happy to clarify your doubts. We can spend some time, right, to understand any questions, any clarifications required. So today and tomorrow onwards, right, so we'll start with our first tool, like not the first tool, the OS side, Linux. So we'll start with the Linux. And right, so the Linux, we are going to cover the important commands which are required for our day-to-day life, because, right, so the GUI is not going to allow for us, so you have to work with the commands only from the Linux side, right? So most of the servers you are going to see the Linux, because the Linux, from the security point of view, Linux is better than the Windows. So that's why, right, you are going to see a lot of servers on the Linux side. So when you are going to work with the Linux, you need to know the Linux commands, because the GUI will not be available for us. You have to go and work with the commands. You want to create a file, or you want to copy something, or you want to delete something, you want to search something, you want to replace something, right? Everything is a command, right? So we are going to cover, right, the important commands which are required for our day-to-day life, right? We'll spend 3 to 4 days to understand the Linux area, maybe you can assume like this week. So then, right, we'll start with our actual tools, like the DevOps side tools, version control tool. We'll start, so then we'll go one by one, right? That is our plan actually, right? The course side. So I hope you guys received the course content, like what is the core, like each tool, what the topics you are going to cover from the institute side. So here, right, I'm giving the tools high level information. So each tool, what we are going to cover, right, the content you can find out from the institute. I hope they have sent it to you guys, the course content in detail. Yeah. So any questions?
Sir, these DevOps tools to run the AWS or Linux also, sir.
Yeah. So here, these DevOps tools, the one thing, right, whatever the tools we are seeing here, these can be run on any machine, like on Linux you can run, or Windows you can run. Okay. So now when we talk about the cloud, right, so cloud is not a mission. Cloud is not a mission, right? It is a provider. They are going to provide, right, different services for us, right? So as an example, right, so now here I want to run the Jenkins. Now I can take my laptop or desktop, and I can install and I can use the Jenkins, right? Your mission. Or you can create a server on the cloud. You can create a server on the cloud. Then on the server, you can install the Jenkins and you can use it. Right? So now, right, so now here you can use your laptops or desktops or virtual machines, or what you can do, you can take the cloud, and the cloud is going to offer you service like the Zoom cars, right? So when you want to go somewhere, so you don't require to have your own car, right? You can take a rental of the Zoom, so that, right, so for the day or 2 days you will take the rental and you are going to pay the rent. So likewise same here, the cloud. Now when you want to use the Jenkins, so then to run the Jenkins you need a mission, right? So the mission is, you need the Linux, suppose the Linux mission is required, but your laptop is Windows, right? So now what you need to do, right, you have to set up the Linux on your laptop or the desktop, means multi OS, something like that. Instead of doing all the thing, simply can take, you can create a Linux machine on the cloud, then you can use it. Likewise, right, likewise the cloud is not a mission, it is right, a provider, like it is going to provide services for us. Now you will use the service and you are going to pay the rent. Likewise, now the, right, so now it can be Windows or Linux, whatever you want, you can take it, right? These tools, what are the tools we are discussing, right? So those tools can be configured on the Windows or Linux, any OS we can configure. Like I mentioned, right, in the real time, so you are going to work with the Linux machines. So that's why, right, we are going to target the Linux servers to work with them. Clear? So any other
How
questions?
many days? How many days it will take to complete the syllabus, sir? And anything we
Yeah,
need to practice?
yes, yes. So this course needs, like, I need, means particular to me, right? I need a minimum 2.5 months, right? Because, right, so we are going to cover a lot of tools and services more than, right, if you guys count them, there are around 20 plus, including the AWS services and the tools, right? So we are going to cover every tool in a detailed fashion, not like go and see the definitions and leave it. That's why, right, our course, right, will take 2 to 2.5 months minimum to complete it, right? So now that's what, again, so how the page is going, right, you guys are able to understand the things quickly, then, right, we can target for 2.5 months, something like that. Maybe 2 to 2.5 months, right? If the page is going low, then it may go beyond also, but, right, all the tools are going to cover in detailed fashion, right? So assume, right, 2.5 months right now the course is.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Shankar, you're not taking the weekend classes, right? So it's from
Right
Monday to
now, yeah, Amit. So here, right now, the plan is, right, Monday to Friday only, because, right, you guys need practice. I think you guys are working, so you need some time to practice. So Saturday, Sunday, we are going to utilize the time for the practice only. In future,
Mhm.
right? In future, if you require, right, maybe you are not covering all the topics within the time, so then we'll plan for weekends also. Like maybe Saturday we'll plan to 3 to 4 hours, something like that. Then we'll try to, right, work with the things. But right now, right, Monday to Friday only. So once you familiarize with the tools and everything, right, then we can plan for something like that.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So one thing. Yeah, yeah, please.
Go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. One
Yeah, hi,
important thing, right?
Shankar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
Shankar, can I speak? Yeah. Actually, my name is Himamalini. I'm not a technical background.
Yes. Okay.
Is it suitable for me? Actually, I'm interested to learn these DevOps and all, but I don't know whether it will be apt for me like that. As a trainer, you
Yeah.
can recommend.
Yes. So Hamal, right? So
Yeah.
it is for everyone actually. Like this is not particular to particular areas. Like I'm a developer, so the developers can work with the
Okay.
DevOps, or the testers, only the tester can work with the DevOps, because this is something like, right, we are going to utilize the tools and we're going to set up a process. Now, right, suppose as an example, I'm coming from the background of testing. So, right, when
Okay.
the testing is going to happen, right, that area I can work with them. Like I can work with the developers, I can guide them. But when it comes to the microservices like infrastructure creations or microservice management, completely new to me. Okay, so likewise, I'm
Yeah.
coming from the admin background. So then working with the servers is very easy for me. But again, microservice setup, Dockers, Kubernetes, Terraform, everything new for me. So that area
Correct.
completely I'm a new guy. So for you, everything is new for you, right?
Correct.
So for those guys are coming from some background, right, they will have some knowledge on that particular area, like maybe 1 or 2 tools that will be, right, they will be faster, but the other tools are completely new to them. So now anyone can take the DevOps. The only thing is, right, practice lot is required, right? Because, right,
Okay.
so you are coming from the completely from different background, so you might not be having the system knowledge, right? So and also, right, the working with the configurations, maybe some time you require to understand the things. So now if you start doing the practice day to day, then you are trying to understand the concept, trying to explore the things, right? So then hardly it will take 10 to 15 days for you to cope up with other
Oh,
guys, like with the tools and everything. So just efforts are required to have money. That's it. So right.
yeah, yeah.
My students are there, right? So I will give an example. Like so, the one of the student, right? He graduated 2003 or 4, something like that. So it is like 3 years backstory. So he worked with the teaching side. Like he's having 6 years or 7 years on the teaching side now, right? So then the teaching job, right, giving not much bread and something like the package and everything. So he realized that he wants to go to the IT. So then right, he verified like which tool is right, which one is having a demand in the market. Then he came to like DevOps. Then he joined to like he's one of my students. He's joined to my batch. So right now he's working for Geo in the Mumbai, right? Working for the Geo, the company, right, based out of Mumbai. So from the past 3 years, he's working as a DevOps engineer. He has like he kept 3 to 4 years of fake experience, then joined into Geo. Still, he's kind of like he's not. He's one example. So like there are
Okay.
like
Got it.
many
Yeah.
are there. Yeah, many are there which are coming from the non-IT. Then they are working as a DevOps engineers. Right.
Okay. Okay.
So you can take this for hammer. But the only thing is right.
Yeah.
You have to spend good amount of time. Right.
Yeah.
So
Sure, Shan. Yeah.
yeah, in usual days. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
This is Durga here.
Yeah. Durga.
Will you help in Terraform certification? Is this a certification course or something like that? Will you
Uh,
help in getting that?
yeah. One thing, right? So now we are not targeting about the certification, right? Again, it is going for a day per, so it is not required for your real time actually. So whatever, right, we are going to cover here, that is, you can cover with them like the certification areas will be covered, but there are few areas are also required. So now when you go for the, suppose if you go for the Terraform certification, right? So here we are going to cover the real time sections which we are going to use in our projects. So now whatever the topics are not going to cover, that will you have to take care it. Maybe three to
Okay.
four yeah, extra topics are required for the Terraform certification. Those things you need to take care. Other than that, right, the other areas you can easily cover it. Means you can easily handle it.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Even not in Terraform, like Kubernetes and the cloud also, right? So everything will be covered like a certification level. What are the topics you are going to cover? Now, what is our focus here when you want to go for like Kubernetes certification or the cloud certification? They might require more topics, like 3 to 4 extra topics are required. Just to only you need to focus those topics. Then aramse you can go and attend the examination, like the certification thing. Anything, right? Yeah, like that. So any topic, right, which you are not able to understand, the topics which you are not covered here, right, you can reach out to me, right? I can help you guys there.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
I learned DevOps tools. I know any coding languages are not.
Yes, so this is one of the good question, right? So here, yeah, from the DevOps side, right, we are going to do the automations. So automation in the sense you have to write the code. For sure you have to write the code, but we are not like a application developers, right? So we are not going to develop the business logics, right? Like nothing like we are not going to use the Java, we are not going to work with the .NET, we are not going to use the Python like that. So we are not the application developers, but we are also going to write the code for the automation of the like whatever we discuss, like CI/CD and for like whatever it is. So for that, right, we are going to use the different tools, right? So like here, pipelines. One of the automation from the Jenkins side is pipelines for the CI/CD setup, right? It is going to use its own language like called Groovy. Like right, so here we are going to, when you want to work with the microservices like Docker files, right, or Compose, it is going to use their own setup, like no specific language here. It is going to have own setup. So likewise, right, we are going to work with Terraform. So Terraform scripts we are going to write. It is HCL language, HashiCorp language. So likewise, right, we are going to work with the Ansible in configuration management. So there we are going to write the playbooks. Right, again in the backend they will use Ruby or something like that. So now right, so we are going to write the Terraform code, we are going to write the Ansible playbooks like Kubernetes manifest files, which is in the YAML format. Like so, right, we are going to work with the tools with their coding side, like means here don't no specific language required here. So when I want to work with the CI/CD, then I'm going to write the Jenkins pipelines. When I'm going to work with the infrastructure side, then I'm going to work with the Terraform scripts. When I want to work with the servers configurations, then I'm going to use the playbooks of Ansible. When I want to deploy the microservices in the clusters like Kubernetes, then I'm going to write the Kubernetes manifest files. So each tool is going to have their own language, own setup. Now, as a DevOps engineer, we have to understand that setup actually. So now, one of the advantage for us is, right. So as I mentioned, we are not going to write any business logics. So now, if I'm going to work with the Ansible is going to have their own setup like modules we are going to call, right. So now modules are something like ready-made code, inbuilt logics, so that you don't require to write the logic separately. Simply that module can be taken and it can be used by giving the proper inputs, right. So as an example, right, again to understand better here, So what the module and everything. Suppose, right, so I want to write a logic for adding two numbers, right? So then I will declare A, then I will declare B, then sum equals to A plus B. This is the logic I'm going to write. This is something like you can understand from the business, like the application development point of view. So now from the DevOps point of view, right, when I want to add two numbers, then I'm going to use sum of A comma B. That's it. Now see, I'm not going to write any logic like equal sum equal to A plus B. Simply I'm going to use the ready-made code because some function is available, right? Function is available. Simply I'm going to call the function. So that's what, right, in our DevOps side. So now you are going to write the lot of code, but every tool has their own setup. Like they are going to provide you ready-made code like in the modules. Sometimes you are going to call the resources like that, which is nothing but, right, ready-made code for us. So now what you need to do, you have to take them and you have to use them properly. You have to use them. Sometimes, right, we might require to write some logics because every tool is not going to provide every module which is required for you. Sometimes, right, you have something like a complex requirement for that, right, you are not going to find out a proper one in the tool set. Then we are going to use our scripting knowledge like shell scripting or Python. So there we are going to write some kind of logics. It is not like your, again, application development kind of logics. It's simple logics, right? Anyway, we are going to cover in the scripting, so how to write the logics and everything, right? So likewise the coding from the DevOps side, right, we are going to write the different tools, different codings using the different tools, but again in the standard way, because they are the modules or resources available from the DevOps tool side. Just our job is to write, understand them and utilize them. That's it. Got it?
So,
Yeah, yeah, Gautam.
suppose we have to put 8 years experience in the DevOps, like
Mm,
fake experience,
mm,
like
mm, mm, mm,
it means before
mm,
going to the office, which areas will
mm.
be mostly like we have to know, like these, like Linux or something will be there, right?
So right, so if you are
Actually,
going
actually,
uh,
yeah, actually, I'm in the US, so
uh-huh.
that's why I'm asking, like.
So right, so like here, right, so Gautam, 8 years of experience you want to go with the DevOps side, right? So my suggestion always, don't go with the
Mhm.
8 years.
Okay.
Okay, go with the 5 years.
5
Okay,
years, but
so
market is very low, I think.
no. You will go with the 8 years. Okay, you will
Okay.
go with the 8 years, but the
Mhm.
DevOps experience will be 5 years.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, right. So you are going to take the IT experience as 8 years. Then
Mhm.
from the DevOps side, right, 5 years you are going to put it. So then the
Okay.
3 years can be testing or a mainframes or something like the two the technology which is right now not much demand, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
mainframes or something.
Actually, 7 years experience in testing in India in TCS. So,
Oh, very good. Then right. So then it's perfect, right? Now 3 years will be testing, and then
mhm.
then the latest 5 years will be a DevOps, right? So then
Okay.
what we need to, right? What we are going to focus here, right? Whatever the tools we are going to cover here, right? You have to focus everyone, every tool here,
Mhm.
every service.
Mhm.
So because,
Mhm.
right? So earlier, right? So when the DevOps came into the market, by that time, right? We have a separate people are there to manage the cloud, and we have a separate team is there to work with these DevOps tools actually in the
Yeah.
past actually when right. So right now, right, so due to the cost cutting and all the things, now they're expecting everything from a single person. Like if you want to work with the cloud also, you want to work with the CACD setup also, the same person has to do it. Okay,
Yeah.
so right, so that's where we are trying to cover both here, right? So
Mhm.
now again, right, again depends on the company, right? You are joining for a like cloud based company or like some MNCs. So there you'll find out, right, different teams for the different areas. Like here the CACD team will be there separately, infra team will be there separately. So that is a luck for us. That is a luck for us. Suppose if you join something like that. If you join for
Yeah.
like level 3, level 4 companies, right? Now you are not going to find out different roles for like this. A person
Mhm.
has to manage everything. A person or a team has to manage everything. Infra to the CACD setup and everything. Right. So
Yeah.
that's where, right. So we are going to cover all the things. Now you Gautam, right? So focus
Yeah.
all these things. Maybe you will work or you are not going to work, but that is an always advantage for us.
Mhm.
Okay, so utilize these 2.5 months and try to write, follow me, simply write, practice every day the topics. That's it. That is more than enough. You can easily work in the real time. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I started a marketing now, so that's why I asked you.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 Gautam.
Mhm.
So
Hi,
right,
sir.
so tomorrow, yeah, hi, hi.
For qualification, any highest qualification for this?
Yeah, actually, right. So BTechs are like MCAs, right? Anyone can take this. If degree, right? Even though degree persons also can take this course, but the thing is, right? They will get very few calls, very less calls actually when compared to right this BTech folks and MCA folks, right? Yeah, right. So again, my students are there with the like BA become students also, right? Working as a DevOps engineer, but very less. They are like hardly 2 to 3 people. We will get the calls very less actually when compared to them.
Actually, in companies, how many persons will be there in the DevOps engineer? Like, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
maybe.
So yeah, let me yeah let me explain. In my right, so let me go with my experience, right? So I worked with like almost 6 to 7 organizations in my career, right? So when I worked with the like level 3, level 4 companies, right? We have 3 to 4 members. Okay, so to maintain the entire thing in the level 3, level 4 companies. So right now, right, so I working for a product-based company. So now here we have a team like 10 members. So because right, so there are different areas now. We are not working in the entire setup. So now the parts are working here. Someone is working on the right, so infrastructure side. Someone is working on the monitoring side, and someone is working on the CI/CD setup. So right, so we have four members on each area. So typically, right, you will see four max 3 to 5 members in a team of the DevOps. Right. So right, you are working for level 3 or level 2, like those companies, then you will see 2 to 3 members, not even more than 3 members also, because they don't want right spend right on the DevOps because we are the highest paid guys in the market. One of the highest paid job is DevOps, right? So they will not they cannot go and afford that much of amount to have a 5 members team for the DevOps. So there you will see
Yeah,
two to
yeah,
three members. Yeah,
yeah.
like
Like
that.
Sir,
I,
sir,
I think in the US, so there's very small, so many small companies will be there, and I have to use only one DevOps guy in the team.
So that is
Like
yeah, yeah, like startup companies and all these guys, right? So hardly they will go with 1 or 2 members. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
So again, right? So how these teams are forming, right? So they will take one senior guy and one junior guy, like 1 or 2 years guy, like so
yeah,
that right, this senior is going to train the junior. Now the junior will become right. So now after 2 years, that the both will be work on. So even the senior is gone, the junior can take it up. Likewise,
yeah.
right?
One
They are
guy is
forming
in
the
buffer, right, like that.
yeah. Likewise, the team is formed. So that right, the budget's also in their hand actually. So they're going to spend amount on the senior, the junior, right? Hardly they can give 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs per annum. That's not a big deal for them. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But other technologies will be different. But in Java, in DevOps, we have to know the entire thing. Like we have to
Yes,
manage all
yes.
things, right?
Yeah, all the
Mm.
things. So that's where the demand is there in the market, right? So because no one can easily work with these DevOps tools, right? Because right, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a kind of yeah, it's not a kind of flow like here. You know the Java, right? Like I mentioned, Java, then conditions, loops, core Java, advanced, like a flow is there. So if I know, so I can work with that area. But here, right, today you are going to work with the Ansible. Maybe tomorrow you are going to work with some Explainable, right? The
yeah,
tool is going to change. If you have a good knowledge and good command on that area, then you can easily adapt the tool, the new tool. Otherwise, right, it is a challenge for you. So it is everyday learning for us. So every day things are going to change. We have to write. So again, almost every time you are going to face new issues. So today you are going to see one issue. There is no guarantee that right you are not going to see the same issue with a different scenario, right? So there you have to work with the different solutions. Like that, right? Always it's a kind of a new thing for us. So that's why, right? So DevOps engineers always is having a good demand on the market. Who is having a
yeah.
good command on the areas like
Yeah. In Java, already all that, other technologies will be have so many guys, so we have to manage
so
easily.
many guys easily, right? So many guys are there, and the technology, right? If I learn the technology, if I work with the multiple projects, the same things
Yeah,
I'm going to repeat it. Yeah, the same things. But here, right? Every time it's going to change like that.
yeah.
sir, in this
Thank you, sir.
Java, in this DevOps engineer, companies take freshers or experienced, sir?
Yeah. Both actually. That's what right. That's what I mentioned. So nowadays, right, the teams how they're forming like experience with the freshers, like 1 or 2 or fresher like that. So now, right now, right, they are taking the freshers also, right? So I am like in my past, right, I used to give the training for if you guys are know Hyderabad, right, Naresh Institutes, Visual Path, like that, right, I used to give the trainings to them also. So they are tie up with some companies like small companies. So then they once that's right, the student got trained, then they're offering, right, they're giving, like, they're sending the interviews to the freshers, like whoever is having a, right, fresh graduates like that, right? So yeah, yeah, there are like openings are there for the freshers as well.
Sir, this course is completed. You placed any company or
And no, I'm not going to take care of the placement and all the things. So you, right, again, our organization, right, whatever the institute, right, we are working for, so right, so they will provide you the placement assistance and everything, guys. Okay, anyway, in my circle, right, so I have my circle, right, in my circle, if any openings are there, anyway, I'm going to post you guys, I'm going to push you guys, that is going to happen, right? But the
okay,
placement, right, so now, yeah, after the course complete, placement assistance and everything, right, this institute will take care of it. You can check with them, right? So whenever, right, so whenever they are having new openings and everything, so they are going to publish us here.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So
Sir, meanwhile, anyhow, we have to get the doubts now. We need to contact him. How can we
yes,
do
yes.
that?
So that is right. So that's for that, right. So what we'll do, right? We are going to create a group.
Mm-hmm.
Amit, right. So that group is something like, if you guys observe here, right. So I have a different groups. My courses actually. Right. It's like this, right? See, these are the DevOps groups. Right. So right. So the group will be having, right. So we'll create a group and we'll join there, so that, right, we can discuss any technical things here, right? You are
Yeah.
facing any issue, right? So you can post here, not only, right? So anything on the DevOps side, right, we can have the discussion here. Even this group, right, will be there forever, like after the batch is completed, I'm not going to terminate the group. See, this is the June
Mm-hmm.
month, June, when I started the June actually. So this is
Yeah.
so that, right, in future, if you guys are having any issues or anything, right, you guys can post it here, right? So that, right, I can clarify those things actually. So
Yeah. We
like,
have to
right.
doing the things now. We'll get more doubts. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true. Right. A group is required, right? True, that is true. Yeah. So that's why,
Yeah.
right. So we'll create a group and we can write. So don't, again, my intention also, right. So don't wait for the next day to clarify your
Mm-hmm.
doubts. It is a blocker for you, right? So that's why, right, this group is actually. So whenever you are
Yeah.
facing some issue, post it here. So that, right.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose if I'm not going to respond, by that time someone has, right, practiced it. So that person is going to respond. It is a kind of, again, a kind of creative for us, right? Knowledge sharing
Yeah.
for us. Yeah, you are trying something new, the other team members are not knowing, so now if you are posting here, right, they will come to know, okay, this is something else we can try, right? Likewise,
Yeah.
right, we can have a knowledge sharing as well as clarifications, and also, right, the material sharing, and also I'm going to do with this group only actually, like. So yeah, this group is going to create it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So Chalathan, right? So I think we are good. So again, even any questions or anything, right? Tomorrow we can have a discussion, right? But tomorrow, right, I'm going to start our DevOps course. So not to miss the classes again. So until unless it is emergency for you guys, so then I cannot stop there. But so don't skip the classes, because, right, we are going to work with the different tools, different flow. If you miss that flow, right, you are going to miss the entire topic, right? So that's what my suggestion, right? If you want to switch your career into DevOps side, you want to take this course, don't skip the classes, don't miss the classes for the next 2 to 2.5 months, right? Until unless it's emergency. Okay. So then you can see the result, right? So that is my guarantee. Like, if you are doing the practice and you are understanding the tools, within 2 to 2.5 months, right, you will get the job. That is my guarantee. Right. So that's what one thing I can tell you guys. So tomorrow we are going to meet at 6:30 and we'll start our actual DevOps thing. Right? We'll start with our course. Yeah. So thank you all.
Okay, sir.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Can
Thank
you
you,
please
sir.
send that recording?
Yeah. 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 Our, right. Our team is going to share the recording to you guys. Yeah.
Sure.
You will
Sure.
get the recording. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.